The New York Times recently named the Mac MTH80 the best overall chef's knife. But what makes it so special, and is it worth buying? In this video, you'll find out. Let's go.
Prudent Reviews.
Hi, I'm Andrew with Prudent Reviews, where we help you find the best products for your home. In this video, I'm reviewing Mac kitchen knives, specifically the Mac MTH80 chef's knife. This knife has gotten praise from publications like Good Housekeeping, Food and Wine magazine, and was recently named the best overall chef's knife by the New York Times Wirecutter. In this video, I'm going to go through its key features, what I like about it, and what I don't like about it. At the end, I'll let you know if it's worth it, and I'll offer some alternatives to consider as well. Before I get started, have you tried Mac knives? If you have, leave a comment below and let me know what you think of them. Let's start with some basics. Mac may not have the brand recognition of a Wusthof or a Zwilling, but they've been around since 1964 and they've sold over 25 million knives. So this is not a fly-by-night company. This knife and all Mac knives are made in Seki City, Japan, a region with a long history of knife making. Mac offers several different collections, but the Professional, which is the one that this knife belongs to, is their most popular. The blade on this knife is made from high carbon steel. It has a Rockwell hardness rating of 59, which is on par with most premium knives. When the steel is too soft, the knife loses its edge quickly, but if it's too hard, it becomes brittle and more prone to chipping. So 59 is a really good sweet spot. The handle is made of Pakkawood. Pakkawood is a wood and resin composite that's heat resistant, moisture resistant, and super durable. You'll find it on a lot of different knives, especially Japanese kitchen knives. The blades are stamped, they're not forged. Stamping is when you cut the blade out of a big sheet of steel, and forged is when the blade is formed from a single block that's heated and pounded into shape. Generally, stamped blades are thinner and flimsier than forged blades, but this is not the case with Mac. Mac blades go through sub-zero tempering, which means the steel is treated with liquid hydrogen to make the alloy harder and give it better edge retention. After the blade is stamped into shape, they grind the entire side from the spine to the edge into a V taper. The bolsters are welded on after the knife has been stamped. This whole process requires more labor than forged knives, and it results in a sharper and more precise edge. I'll show off how it performs in a minute. A couple callouts on the design. So compared to most Japanese chef's knives, the edge is actually a little bit more curved, which allows for a rocking motion. However, when you compare it to most Western style knives, the edge is actually quite flat. So it's a lot straighter, which allows for more straight, precise cuts. So with Mac, you get the best of both worlds. A flatter edge for slicing and chopping, and a slight curve for rocking. It has a hollow edge, also known as a Granton edge, which are these tiny little dimples which create a little air pocket between the food and help it release off the blade. In my experience, I haven't found that to make a big difference, but it's worth calling out. The Mac knife has a full tang and triple riveted handle. The handle shape is very similar to most Western style knives. For example, if you compare it to the Wusthof Classic, it has a similar curve toward the butt end. If you look closely, you can see very subtle wood grains in the dark Pakkawood. Overall, it's a very classy looking knife. So here's what I really like about the Mac knife. First of all, it's very lightweight. When you pick it up, it's not going to feel nearly as heavy as most Western style knives. Because of its lightweight, it's a lot more nimble and maneuverable. You won't have wrist fatigue if you're chopping for a really long time. The other thing I really like is that it's balanced. So the balance point is completely in the center of the knife, right at the bolster between the handle and the blade. The handle is smooth and comfortable and has a nice curve to rest your finger on. It's a familiar design that you're going to find in most Western style knives. As I mentioned, I really like the unique blade profile. It has a flatter belly than most chef's knives, just enough curve for rock chopping, but straight enough for a thrusting and chopping technique. Almost a hybrid between a chef's and a Santoshi. Last but certainly not least, it's one of the sharpest knives I've tested out of the box. It cuts through ingredients with ease, even hard ingredients like carrots and potatoes. The V taper from spine to edge and high carbon content enhances its edge retention, so you really don't need to sharpen these knives often at all. All right, here are a few things I don't love about the Mac knives. I mentioned it's lightweight, but it might be a little too lightweight if you're used to Western style knives. You have to put a little bit more force when pressing down on firm ingredients. It's not that noticeable, but it's worth calling out. The handle is noticeably short. It's not an issue if you have small hands, but if you have larger hands, it might be uncomfortable. The edge is ultra sharp, as I mentioned, but because the edge is so fine, it feels a little bit more delicate than a German knife. In fact, the insert that comes on the box says to never cut bones, frozen food, or hard squash. Due to its high carbon content, the steel is more prone to rust and stains than other knives. You need to be especially aware of this when cutting corrosive acidic foods like citrus or tomatoes, as those can stain the blades. I spoke with a representative at Mac and he told me their philosophy is to provide the very best performance, which means their alloy does not contain as much chromium as most stainless steel. But because of that, it holds its edge and performs significantly better. So if you prioritize performance and don't care about having the shiniest knives, this is actually a good thing. Plus, you can easily polish off any rust or stains. I mentioned that the narrow blade profile makes the knife lighter and more nimble, but it also has a downside. If you're used to scooping ingredients with the blade, like let's say you're chopping herbs and you want to scoop it into a dish, you don't really get much room here. You can see in this blade is significantly wider and allows you to scoop a lot more food. Mac knives aren't the most expensive, but they're not cheap either. This chef's knife is listed on Mac's website for $195, which is definitely on the high end, especially if you compare it to other stamped knives. Mac knives are available on Amazon and on Mac's website, but you're not going to find them in many stores and they're not widely available. One thing to note, if you buy them on Amazon, make sure you buy them from an authorized seller. Mac has a list of authorized sellers that I'll link to in the description, but if you don't buy from an authorized seller, the warranty is void. So should you buy the Mac MTH80 or any other Mac knives? Overall, they're a joy to use, and they definitely belong in the conversation when we're talking about the best kitchen knives. They're a unique mix of Japanese and Western styles. The handle is more like a Western style knife, while the blade is harder, a little bit lighter, and more nimble, like a Japanese style knife. It's an extremely well-rounded knife. It's lightweight, but it feels sturdy and balanced in your hand. So if you're looking for well-made knives that are comfortable in your hand and ultra sharp, you absolutely should buy Mac knives. However, if you're looking for a knife that you can kind of beat up in the kitchen, that has a little bit softer steel and is a little bit less prone to chipping, then you may want to get a Western style knife like a Wusthof, a Zwilling, or even Made In. If you're ready to buy or just want to read more reviews, I've linked to this knife and all the knives I've mentioned in this video in the description. Those are affiliate links, so I earn a commission if you click and buy at no extra cost to you. If this video was helpful, give it a like and subscribe to this channel for more reviews like this. And if you have a question about Mac knives, let me know in the comments and I'm happy to answer it. We'll see you in the next video.